He was a self-made millionaire, a titan of industry who believed control was the key to success. In his sprawling mansion, everything had its place. Every moment was scheduled, and every person had a role. His most precious asset, his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, was no exception. After his wife's passing, he'd built a fortress of order around Lily, convinced it was the only way to protect her. The latest addition to this fortress was a new nanny, Sarah, a kind-faced young woman with glowing references. For a while, things were perfect. Lily, who had been quiet and withdrawn since her mother's death, started to smile again. Laughter, a sound long absent from the cold, marble halls, began to echo through the house. The millionaire watched from a distance, satisfied. His system was working. Sarah was efficient, respectful, and Lily seemed to adore her. Then came the incident. It was a Tuesday evening. He returned home to find his prized Ming Dynasty vase, a piece worth more than a luxury car, shattered on the floor. His gaze fell on Sarah, who stood pale and trembling, and then on Lily, who was hiding behind her. Tears streaming down her face. He didn't need an explanation. His anger, cold and sharp, filled the room. "You're fired," he said to Sarah, his voice leaving no room for argument. "Pack your things and get out. Now." Sarah tried to speak, to explain, but he cut her off. He saw her as a liability, a flaw in his perfect system. He handed her a severance check and had security escorted out, ignoring Lily's desperate cries of, "No, Daddy, no." That night, the house was silent again. The suffocating, heavy silence he had once mistaken for peace. Lily refused to eat, refused to speak to him. She just sat in her room, clutching a worn teddy bear, her eyes red and swollen. He told himself it was for the best. She would get over it. He would hire a new nanny, a better one. Days turned into a week. The silence in the mansion grew heavier, more oppressive. Lily became a ghost in her own home, flitting from room to room, her small face a mask of sorrow. The millionaire started to feel a crack in his own armor. He'd conquered boardrooms and crushed competitors, but he was powerless against the silent grief of his own child. One evening, desperate to find a way to reconnect with her, he went into her room. She was asleep, her tear-stained cheek pressed against her pillow. On her nightstand, next to a glass of untouched water, was her diary. A small, pink book, with a unicorn on the cover. He knew it was an invasion of privacy, a betrayal of trust, but he was a desperate man. I picked it up. His hands trembled slightly as he opened it to the first page. The first few entries were simple, childish observations about her day. But then, he saw Sarah's name appear, and the tone changed. The diary entries became vibrant, filled with joy. "Today, Sarah and I built the biggest pillow fort ever. She said it was our magical castle." Another entry read, "Sarah told me how to bake cookies. They were a little burnt, but she said they were the best they ever tasted. We pretended we were on a TV cooking show." He kept reading, a lump forming in his throat. "Sarah told me stories about Mummy. She said Mummy was a star in the sky, always watching over me. When I miss her, Sarah holds my hand and tells me to talk to the brightest star, and it feels like Mommy is listening." He hadn't spoken to Lily about her mother in years, afraid it would cause more pain. He had simply removed all the photos, trying to erase the past. Sarah had been helping Lily heal in a way he never could. His heart pounded in his chest as he flipped to the entry from the day the vase broke. His eyes scanned the messy, tear-blotted handwriting. "It was my fault. I was running to show Sarah my drawing and I tripped. I knocked the big blue vase over. It made a super loud crash. Sarah told me not to worry. She said she would take the blame so Daddy wouldn't be mad at me. She said it was her job to protect me. I love Sarah. I want her to come back. Daddy, please, bring her back." The diary slipped from his fingers. The words shattered him more than the broken vase ever could. He wasn't a protector. He was a jailer. He had built a pristine, joyless prison for his daughter and punished the one person who had brought light into it. His obsession with control, with perfection, had made him blind to what truly mattered. He sank to the floor, the weight of his mistake crushing him. He looked at his sleeping daughter, this beautiful, sad little girl he barely knew. He had mistaken her silence for obedience, her compliance for contentment. For the first time in years, the millionaire cried, not for a lost antique, but for the lost time, the lost laughter, and the trust he had so carelessly broken. The next morning, he didn't go to the office. He found the severance check he'd given Sarah. It was on Kate. He got her address from the agency. He drove himself, not sending a driver. He found her in a small, modest apartment, packing her bags to move back to her hometown. When she opened the door, her eyes widened in surprise. Before she could speak, he said the two words he had uttered to anyone in years. "I'm sorry." He explained everything. He told her what he'd read in Lily's diary, his voice cracking with emotion. He didn't offer her more money. Instead, he offered her an apology, his humility, and a plea. "Please," he said, "come back. Not for me. For Lily. She needs you. And I need to learn how to be a father." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. She didn't hesitate. When they walked back into the mansion, Lily was sitting listlessly in the grand foyer. Her head snapped up when she saw Sarah. A tiny gasp escaped her lips, and then her face broke into the most radiant smile the millionaire had ever seen. She sprinted across the marble floor and threw herself into Sarah's arms, sobbing with relief. "You came back. You came back." Watching them, the millionaire felt a shift inside him. The fortress he had built around his heart finally crumbled. He walked over and knelt, wrapping his arms around both of them, joining their hug. The house was no longer silent. It was filled with the sound of happy tears, and for the first time, it felt like a home. The broken vase was forgotten, a small price to pay for a priceless lesson. He learned that true wealth isn't measured in possessions, but in moments of love, connection, and the courage to admit when you're wrong.